dude, look at the headline, though. Look at this shit. This is the YouTube video that they put. Trump pulls off miracle? Like, really? Trump pulls off miracle? Dude, who do you think he's courting with this YouTube title? Right? Who is TYT? Right? How many progressive Democrats are going to see that and be like, oh, I want to watch that video. I want to watch Trumpy. Oh, Trump pulled off a miracle. Oh, yeah, Trump didn't lie once today. Oh, I went an entire hour without lying, Cenk. Oh, will you rub my prostate? Dude, Trump pulls off miracle. He didn't, like, bro, that in and of itself, this title, this thumbnail is a fucking crime, bro. From the progressive, this is the Progressive News Network, guys. That's the, you know what I mean? This is like one of those fucking headlines where you look at like a New York Times headline, you're like, how did that shit find its way out of the gate? Dude.
Yeah, so lots to go over here. So number one, I got to give Trump a lot of credit here. I mean, I'm going to take the New York Times reporting at face value here.
Of course you do, Cenk. Oh, I got to give Trump a lot of credit here. Dude, why are you giving Trump credit? Oh, because he's not dropping bombs on Iran 2 months into his presidency. Big credit there, right? He's funding Israel, who's going to just gut the Middle East. You had a real problem with that with Joe Biden, but Trump doesn't. Nah, no biggie. Not a huge deal, right? But he's not nuking Iran, so he gets a lot of credit. He's kidnapping people, no due process, right? Anti-trans, lying through his fucking teeth, accomplishing nothing that he said he was, but he didn't drop a nuke on Iran, so therefore he's your goddamn hero.
The jury was very much out on whether Trump was actually anti-war or he was just pretending to be anti-war to get elected, but then would do whatever Miriam Adelson and the donors wanted him to do.
You see, though, you see how his continued framework, we got to pay attention to this, guys, because 2026 is coming and Cenk Uygur is going to be out here using this subtle subterfuge in order to try and sink all the Democratic candidates, because we know they're surviving on right-wing money. Peter Thiel money, who knows where else they're getting their money now, because their fucking channel is dead. But pay attention to what he just did there, because what he did is, when talking about Trump, anytime Trump does the right thing, according to Cenk Uygur, like Trump didn't bomb Iran, but Cenk Uygur made the tie. He didn't do what Miriam Adelson and their donors wanted him to do. So therefore, it's not Pete Hegseth, the guy with the Crusader tattoo, and all the evangelicals that are everybody behind Trump, the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, all these anti-Islamic people that are in his orbit. He's like, no, the donors and Miriam Adelson. He's created a bad guy that whenever Trump does the right thing, it's the bad guy donors. Trump went against the bad guy donors. Now, why does he portray Trump like that? Why does he continually portray Trump as somebody who bucks the donors, somebody who steps outside and has his own mind and is actually like bucking the establishment? The reason why he does it is because then what he can do is he can go back and maintain his narrative of the Democrats being bought and paid for by the donor class. Okay? So his framing of Trump, with Miriam Adelson being the one responsible for the bad shit and Trump's not doing the bad shit, bucking the donors, it allows him to continually have this undercurrent of, well, you can hate Trump, but he's bucking the establishment. And the Democrats are just bought and paid for by the establishment, man. They are so bad. They are so bad. But it's a subtle way of being able to continually reframe Trump in a space that Cenk shares which is this populist anti-establishment segment of the political climate. And then the Democrats don't share that space because they're donor bought and paid for. I mean, he can't accuse AOC and Bernie of that because they don't take any PAC money. But noticing this subtle shit is really, really important because this is part of Cenk Uygur's game. And this is part of how he's going to try and sink the 2026 elections and the people that run against whoever Trump's, successor is in 2028.
The jury was very much out on whether Trump was actually anti-war or he was just pretending to be anti-war to get elected, but then would do whatever Miriam Adelson and the donors wanted him to do. And so far he has done that in basically, arresting and trying to deport any critic of Israel that isn't a US citizen, and now looking into some US citizens as well. So he's been as hard right-wing Israeli supporter of Netanyahu as you could find on those issues. That is why this is stunning and terrific.
See, here's what's crazy though is once Joe Biden or the Democrats participated in support of Israel, like Cenk burned that bridge, like they were genociders, they were enabling death and all this. But you notice how he doesn't like burn the bridge with Trump the same way. Like Trump exists on a non-burnable bridge. Cenk Uygur will never burn the bridge with fucking Trump.
So if he blocked an attack on Iran, that is truly anti-war, and we should all give him a lot of credit for that and encourage him to keep going in that direction. Here's somebody I was wrong about. I thought Tulsi Gabbard would love the opportunity to start a war against a Muslim country, to be honest. And I thought that all of her anti-war talk, wasn't necessarily true.
Dude, we're fucking 2 months into the administration. It ain't over yet. You think that the tensions with Iran are done here? Like, bro, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at this shit. Like one decision, one New York Times story comes out and says, oh, they're not going to war with Iran now. And like Cenk is like, oh my God, like, wow, I can't give enough credit. Tulsi, Trump, they're all overperforming expectations. Dude, did he have this kind of positivity for Biden? I don't think he did, man. I don't recall ever seeing like, wow, Biden's really doing a good job in this first 2 months.
And that she was also, in a lot of ways, on Israel's side. But apparently she was the main voice against attacking Iran. Well, then credit where credit is due. So if she blocked that, that makes a huge difference because this isn't theoretical anymore. She's now an enormously important person inside the Trump administration. And if she really delivered on being anti-war instead of what we were worried about, then terrific. Then I'm very happy about that. JD Vance on the right side. Oh my God, Hegseth is on the right side. That's a bit stunning. There wasn't a lot of information about Hegseth, and I'd be surprised if he was fully on that side. Maybe he was just playing some politics. But JD Vance apparently did make a couple of strong arguments against attacking. So credit there. Now, who are the bad guys? Yaz mentioned Mike Walls. Mike Walls is a neocon. He's the national security advisor. He's the dumbass who did that Signal Gate and included the reporter on that chat. And at some points, even he had lost the room and started to backpedal. But overall, he wanted to attack. He was on the side of doing what Israel commands. And apparently, the guy in charge of Central Command, General 𝗲𝗄𝗪, is someone that Netanyahu really likes, and he wanted to do the bombing before 𝗲𝗪 retired. Because apparently 𝗲𝗪 is a warmonger neocon and wanted to do the bombing. So those Waltz and 𝗲𝗪 are the bad guys here. Gabbard and
dude, it does feel like years, doesn't it? It does feel like it's been so long.
Trump actually deliver on anti-war. All of that is amazing and yes, a little stunning. Let's hope that the New York Times is right about this.
See, again though, Cenk he's done some favors for Gabbard and Trump good, Waltz and the other guy bad. So now they've generated the fall guys, like he's generating fall guys for Trump. But Trump is not the ultimate responsibility. which is weird because I feel like during the Obama administration, it always fell on Obama's shoulders, always.
If they manage to prevent the war, that's a huge win, and give credit on another factor. I mean, there have not been very many presidents in my lifetime that have ever defied Israel on anything they have ever asked for. Barack Obama defied them on the Iran nuclear deal, which he deserves a lot of credit for. And now Trump seems to be defying them on striking Iran.
Yeah, it's interesting. 2020 was even when Cenk was like talking positively about defund the police. So I mean, I believe it. I know they were definitely behaving at least somewhat progressive then, right? I'll be honest. I think if I were to sum up the trajectory of these guys, I think it really has a lot to do. I feel like BLM and the transgender rights really fucked TYT up. I think at their core, they grapple with some racism and they grapple with some transphobia. Even though they support some elements of trans rights, I think deep down inside, the LGBTQ rights and the inclusion around trans people. Obviously, you saw like the word birthing person sent Ana into a spiral that she never recovered from. And they were the big N-word users. I just think there's a little racism and some transphobia and some anti-LGBTQ and misogyny shit that is latent in these guys that maybe they're not even aware of. That eventually the progressives became so inclusive and so like gained so much power that it just made it so they couldn't support anymore. And I don't even know if they're aware of it. Like, I think if you ask Ana and Cenk about their racism or their transphobia, I think they would insist, like they would go to the wall insisting, what do you mean? I'm not transphobic. I think Cenk would insist, I'm not misogynist. I'm not transphobic. There's not a racist bone in my body. I think they genuinely believe that. But I think if they actually took some time to look at themselves, if they took some time to really do some soul searching, they would discover that they are racist and transphobic and have some issues there. Yes, no, I know. Ana had right? She used to be the one who was fighting on that shit. You know, I mean, it's also possible that they forged some of their identity on just being contrarian. Like maybe they were all for the inclusiveness because it was allowed them to fight. And now that everybody's more inclusive, they still want to fight. I don't know. But I think they have some issues with this shit. I do. I think that's why Cenk was a Republican in the first place. I mean, he was a Republican 20 years ago. And, you know, you don't end up being a Republican unless you have, you know, I think you have to have some of that, like, murky, like, you're not necessarily racist by being Republican, but you're okay with racists and you're okay with racism. You are somebody who, like, doesn't acknowledge the extent of racism and how systemic it is. You can't be a Republican while also acknowledging the existence of systemic racism. You know, he used to use "she looks trans" as an insult. Yeah. I mean, dude, we know the misogyny is there. I mean, the camel toes. Come on, man. Right? They went on TV. I mean, it was YouTube, but they went on TV with celebrity camel toes. Like, bro, don't get me wrong, okay? I mean, dude, I'm a guy who, I've got a sex worker on my fucking shirt, bro. I have no problem with, like, you know, sex and the sexual objectification in the right environments when there's consent there. Like, with the sexual objectification of, like, real human beings out in the open like that. I mean, yeah, I do it when there's consent. I have no problem objectifying in consensual relationships, right? Like watching adult material, they're consenting to you objectifying them. objectifying your spouse when they consent, there's nothing wrong with that. But you know what I'm saying? But having a fucking show, you think I'm going to have a show where I rate the fucking bodies of famous people? Like, bro, what are you doing, man? Like, you putting that out into the world? That's a bit much. You know what I'm saying? But that was fucking fairly tasteless. But they were doing it with like the biggest women names around. That's so degrading. I mean, when you think about it, taking like a really famous woman and then making it about her camel toe, that's kind of like denying all of whatever, however she succeeded, and reducing it to, you know, the 2 inches between her legs. You know, I mean, think about it. That's a lot of messaging in there. You know, that's a lot of messaging in there. That is no different than, you know, the people who are saying Kamala Harris only got successful because she gave it up for some dude, right? That is the same messaging as like Kamala Harris having pimp handlers, like the shit they were saying at Madison Square Garden. Same shit. And we all know how they feel about black women. Like, let's be real. I've yet to find a black woman that they don't have some major issues with.
And Obama had somehow pulled off this miraculous, wonderful peace deal where we got exactly what we wanted. Since Trump took us out of that deal, which was a terrible mistake back in 2018, now Iran is enriching uranium at 60%. And they're much closer to having a nuclear program after all these years because they had no incentive to do a deal with us. So they went in the other direction. So it's time for Trump to make up for that mistake, do an actual peace deal, and be a strong leader for America and not follow Israel's orders.
See, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, okay? Because I am anti-fucking Trump. We know this. If Trump were to make an actual peace deal that included Iran in the Middle East, I would have to give him a tiny bit of credit. If it was as good as like the Obama deal, I'd have to give him the tiniest shred of credit. I would. Okay, simply like not dropping bombs yet, I'm not giving him any credit because he's a liar and he's conniving, and right now he can't really drop bombs because he's got other fish to fry, because he's abducting people in America and discarding their due process. So, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's probably going to use the bombs on Iran as a get out of jail free card. When it gets really, really bad, he'll try to start a war and create some common enemy. I mean, let's be honest. Now is not a good time to go to war. Right? It hasn't gotten bad enough yet. But it will. That's some crazy shit right there. Trump pulls off miracle. That was the framing here. And the miracle that Cenk talking about is that Trump didn't drop a nukes on fucking, right? Dude, somebody in chat just said Trump's dad should have worn a condom. Oh, dude, that hits, bro. Trump's dad should have worn a condom. That just like hits. Oh man, dude. Dude, Fred Trump should have strapped on the Trojan, bro. God damn, dude. Pull out anything. Dude, believe me, I'm sure there's times Fred Trump looked at Donnie and was like, God damn, bro. What do I do here? I should have fucking strapped one on, man. Oh, fuck. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.